Reach out and take my hand, give me a safe and sound.
If you're tired, holding lost, when night is all around, hold tight and wait for me. I'll sing you safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
Reach out, take my hand, you'll be safe and sound. Take the light. Safe and sound. Reach out, take my hand, you'll be safe and sound.
At the very end of Spurn Point, a narrow strip of sand flung across the Humber estuary, we, by our subscriptions, maintain Britain's only full-time, permanently manned lifeboat. This vessel, City of Bradford 4, is to all who meet her simply Humber Lifeboat. The coxswain of the Humber Lifeboat is Brian Bevan, at 37 one of the most decorated lifeboatmen in Britain. Bevan's responsibilities extend from the Humber itself, now the country's busiest river, to thousands of square miles of the North Sea.
This is Humber Coast Guard, Roger. For your information, the last position given 53.43.5 north, 0007 east. Expected to drift northwards. Latest information is that the diver might possibly have managed to swim ashore. He was last seen in a blue life jacket.
The lifeboat is called out on average once a week. Now, if a ship were in fear of sinking every week in Bevan's patch, it would be serious. But of course it isn't like that. All the launches Bevan and his crew make require the same amount of skill and determination. But not all of them, not half of them, lead even to a rescue. You don't know that when you go out on a job. This is what's known as an immediate launch, and will last only a few minutes before it's called off.
3.5 north, 0007 east. Is this correct, over?
Good morning, Humber Radio. Humber Lifeboat, with moorings, proceeding a Withering Sea, overdue a diver from the Canada wreck. Over.
This launch, which lasted only 4 minutes, cost the RNLI £1,500.
Within Sea Coast Guard, this is Humber Coast Guard, Roger, copied, good, lifting at 0. This is Humber Coast Guard, Roger, lifeboat, over.
Roger, copy, Harry. Do you want us to continue or return to station?
Brian Bevan and his crew of 6 both expect and desire a busy life. They are, after all, the only full-time professionals in a voluntary service. But what makes them special is that they don't say goodnight on the jetty at the end of a day's work. Part of their story is where they live, all together, without any other neighbours.
Spurn Point, can't be many places like it in the country, I don't suppose. Water on 3 sides of you, the river on the west side, the estuary on the south and the sea on the east. There can't be many places like it. It's very isolated, it's very quiet, but we like it, we like the quietness. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't. No shops, no pub, no nothing really, just our houses, the pilot's quarters and the Coast Guard station. And they don't live here, they only come in transit to the place to work. We're the only ones that actually live on the point itself. A lot of people, they come here for their holidays, they come down in the summertime. They say, oh, I'd love to live here, we like, you know, nice and quiet and peaceful and all that. I don't know whether they would. They probably would for probably 2 or 3 weeks of the year in the summer. When they see it at its best, they come in a winter. It's totally different. All seems to be windy, it's always cold, sand blowing all over. But we like the place anyway. You wouldn't stop if you didn't like it.
We always say to any new candidate coming for a job that the worst part of the job is being tied for 6 days, and we try to, really hammer that through to them, that you are sort of tied in your house for 6 days, 24 hours a day. You are totally isolated for 6 days a week.
Yeah, with the Coast Guards at Spurn, we have a very close relationship with them. 99% of our jobs originate from the Coast Guards, and we have probably the best setup of anybody in the country, and the station itself, because they're here full time, we're here full time, everybody knows each other on first name terms. We have a better understanding, I suppose, how they work and how we work.
Mobile Humber Coast Guard?
Yeah, he's stuck about 30 feet from the top. He's been there quite some time. I think he's going a bit weak. It's going to be easy to get him from the top, pull him up, rather than lower him down, I reckon.
Yeah, Roger. We can't get a reply on Mr. Gray. Mr. Lang is on his way, Mr. Haxby's on his way as well.
Hello, Humber Coast Guard here. We've just, Ian Paris has just launched your ILB to stand by. There's a young lad caught off by the tide at Farley Brig. The Farley Cliff team's on the way as well. Okay? Right, thank you.
Could you rendezvous at Farley Brig, please? There's a job there.
See if you can get hold of
Ian's
Mr.
up there
Gray.
now.
See if you can get hold of Mr. Gray. I
Hello?
can't get him, you see.
Okay.
Okay?
He's gone.
I can't get Gray.
Haxby's on his way. His friend will get to.
Yeah, Graham, it's Coast Guard Humber. You sent your ILB yet? Good. It's not the one we thought it was. It's not the body we thought it was. It's a younger one.
The Coast Guards arrive at Spurn Point in collar and tie for 8-hour shifts.
Seems like the job itself.
They're the civil service end of the business.
The job itself will be a walkover.
Just why the Coast Guard station is located at Spurn Point is explained by a glance out of the window. The Humber is one of the busiest rivers in Britain, and 100 big ships pass up and down river each day. Spurn is sand, and shifting sand at that, and it guards an estuary that is no easy passage. Henry VIII commanded the Humber to be a permanent pilotage, so treacherous was it. And to this day, the pilots set off from where he directed to guide ships in and out of port. They're Brian Bevan's second set of colleagues on Spurn.
Which one is it? That turn on there, behind it?
Fourth bank. Pilot launch Racina on channel 14 to receive, please. Vessel call in fourth bank back over. Captain, what side is the ladder on, please? The ladder's on the starboard side, Thank you, starboard, sir. Stand by in this channel, please, 1-4. Yeah, stand by 1-4, thank you.
All clear, boss.
Dominating Spurn Head is the Spurn Light, the third on this site and manned until 1948. It's now an additional responsibility of the lifeboat crew, who maintain it. So, the lighthouse, the pilots, the coast guards, the coxswain and crew of the Humber lifeboat, the only population of Spurn Point, with just the occasional night out.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here tonight to honour the lifeboat crew at Humber once again. We're here to make a presentation in honour of the crew for a service that is on the 13th and the 14th December 1981. And I'd like to read the citation of that service at a meeting of the Committee of Management of the Royal National Lifeboat Institution for the preservation of life-from shipwreck, held on the 24th day of March 1982. The following minute was ordered to be recorded on the books of the institution that the bronze second service clasp of the Royal National Lifeboat Institution be awarded to Brian William Bevan. It seems one or two of you know him. After the motor vessel Harry Mitchell of London had developed a list of 30 degrees to port when her cargo of timber shifted 4.5 miles north-northeast of the Humber light vessel in a southeasterly violent storm with snow and heavy breaking seas in the darkness of the night. What isn't recorded in the bare bones is the fact that it took them about an hour and a quarter to get there. But after they'd taken the men off this ship and then escorted the ship, there were 5 hours bumping around in violent storms at 6 in the morning before they got back to the station. And in Port Fleet, 6:13, refueled and ready for service. Right.
It's just a job to us, same as anybody else's job. We don't think we're brave. We probably get a lot more job satisfaction at the end of it, whether it be from taking a crew off a ship or to pulling some kids out of a rubber dinghy blowing offshore. We get a lot of satisfaction from the job that way. But I don't think we ever class ourselves as brave.
There's a service certificate for Dennis Bailey. Now, Dennis isn't here tonight, and his daughter's going to take it on his behalf.
Harry Mitchell, she was listing, and we went out to take the crew off. And as we was taking them off, the boat came down on our rail, and one of the crew had jumped, and he had hold of a rope on the ship, and he landed across our bow. And I bent underneath what we call the bandstand rail to keep hold of him. And he wouldn't let go of the rope, and we shouted at him and told him to let go. And as that happened, we was pulling out, and the ship came down on top of the bandstand rail above my back, which I knew nothing about it until we got back. And Jack told me, he says, "Bye," he says, "you was lucky." And I didn't know it even happened. It just shows you that you don't know what's happening at the time when you're busy getting somebody aboard.
Next we have Bob White.
There's times when you're at sea and you think to yourself, what the hell am I doing here? You know what I mean? You've got a family at home, and then you get to the job and you do the job and you see the looks on them blokes' faces or people's faces you've been to help or assisted. And, you know, that makes it all worth it. I wouldn't want to do any other job.
He doesn't know.
The boat sort of dominates everything you do. Whether it be taking a bath or going just for a walk around, you've got to think about the boat all the time. You know.
Sid Rollinson.
You don't have time to be scared. You don't think about it actually. You go out, you do the job, you come back, and you sort of later on, maybe next day, and what the bloody hell was I doing up there? Yeah.
You've got to piss on the littles, you know.
Oh, no.
I think I knew all along that it wasn't an easy job to do, being a lifeboatman. I knew that, I know that times have changed since when you had to row out in a boat. We have all modern things, but it's still the same principle, yet we go out further.
The seventh member of the crew is Mick Story. He completes the establishment of the station. In any one working day, there will be 6 on and 1 off.
It's a cruel place is the sea. You never beat it. You can only challenge it and hope you get away with it. Everybody worries, I'm sure. Everybody that goes to sea must have worried or been frightened sometime. He ain't natural if he isn't. We're probably unique in the fact that we're all full-time down here. You know, we're literally, that's all we do. We just live here. A bit like a fireman on a shift. Just sat waiting for the call out.
It would be against human nature for these men not to want to exercise their skills, even though they can only put them to use when someone else is in danger.
The thing we most dread worst in the river is fog, especially any small boat that might be missing or overdue in the river. No radio in fog. It isn't a very nice place to be in the river when it's foggy, because of the amount of ships and traffic on the river.
Humber, Thames, Dover, White. Variable 3 becoming mainly northerly 4, locally 5. Thundery showers dying out later. Moderately fog patches.
Hello, is that please? Hello? Yeah, this is John Berry, Humber Coast Guard. We've got a problem at Cleethorpes. We've got a car and trailer on the beach. It's been there all night, and we're a bit concerned about the owner. We've got thick fog in the river. We're trying to trace the owner. He apparently is not on the phone. We've got his name and address from police inquiries. Could you possibly check his home and see if anyone is in? We're trying to inquire where he was, what he was doing, whether he was meant to stay out all night or what.
Just a passing curiosity. When you were on your way in, you didn't happen to see a 20-foot or less boat hoddling about looking lost, did you?
I didn't even see myself, Mr. Johnson. It was thick fog.
Aye, okay then.
Do we know what type of boat it was? Mucky white. I spelled mucky with a B, yes. Mucky white, yeah. It did have an engine, presumably. Yeah. Yeah. He wouldn't have had an anchor or any equipment in the boat itself. Yeah, presumably it's got an anchor if there were... They're fishing with rods or with lines?
That's 73.
Yeah. But did he actually see it launch? Launch about 17:30. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. They think it's got a motor, but he's not sure what type of motor. But he definitely launched at about 17:30 local time last night. He reckons they didn't have enough bait to be fishing all this time, because they were stopped bait digging and they weren't looking for mussels and things on the beach.
Are they regulars, do you say?
No, no, they don't know them. So I think we've got a possible search.
Yeah.
What did the pilot say?
They haven't seen anything. The last boat that went across hadn't got radar, so he was feeling his way to anyway.
And they haven't seen anything all night?
Nothing's been reported to them. The warden went in earlier in the day, and he hadn't seen anything.
Don't know. I think we got a search actually.
Yeah.
Radio.
Hello, Brian? Yeah, this is John.
We've got a small job on a small boat, possibly missing Cleethorpes, thick fog out here, mate. He was overdue possibly since last night. Haven't got much information on him. Getting this at the moment from the police.
They were seen to launch at about 17:30 local time. It's a 13 to 14 foot old type speedboat, wood, flat bottom.
John or any of them haven't seen them there?
No. I'll start jacking up a beat search now.
Yeah. I'll hang on then till you get some more information, see what equipment they carry, and if she has any idea of the location they go fishing. And I'll wait for you ringing back. Okay, John. Cheers. Phew. I don't fancy that one little bit. 24 hours adrift in the fog. All the way from the West Riding to keep us happy. Let's see. Just hang on a few minutes. Some anglers went out 5:30 last night from Cleethorpes. Half a dozen worms from West Riding. They've got the car number in that. They're just going to check with relatives to see if they're locals to Cleethorpes, to see if they can give us any idea where they go fishing. The pilot launches there, it's seen out in the river, so we'll definitely be launching, I think, anyway, because they're going to initiate a beach search right down the banks and that.
You're blooming telling on them jobs, though, isn't it?
A lot of the jobs, you know, I think folks tend to think that it's extreme urgency, but they aren't all life or death matters. Some might be just a cabin cruiser broken down 5 miles off and drifting. Well, there's no immediate danger, but they want some assistance. West Riding, I said Macclesfield.
What we think of the... Oh, yeah, who's the latest this year? Where are they from, Brian?
Well, it's the pilot's jetty, it belongs to the pilots. We're just able to use their facilities. There's fuel and water and that right on the end. The jetty's very open in certain directions of wind. And the lifeboat is moored off 50 or 60 yards from the jetty, purely because of the weather. We have a 18'6" boarding boat, twin engine boarding boat that we use for going to and from it. So when we go down the jetty, 2 of us normally get in it, start it up, and haul it back off, and we pick the rest of the crew up on one of the landings on the jetty and proceed out to the lifeboat.
Pan. All ships, this is Humber Coast Guard. That's information requested of 14-foot wooden speedboat, white in colour, 3 persons on board, believed to be fishing in the Humber mouth area. Known to have launched at 051630 GMT. No further contact. Any ships with information requested to contact Humber Coast Guard. Daytime group at 061455 GMT. Humber Coast Guard out.
Humber Lifeboat slip moorings, proceed to search the river. We're overdue a speedboat from Cleethorpes.
When we launch on service to anything in the river with fog, There's always somebody working the radar, head stuck in the radar all the time. 2 or 3 of the lads out on deck, on watch, listening for horns. On channel 16 as well, listening to the shipping, moving up and down.
Search around the Bullthorpe Cleethorpes area, then it's anybody's guess.
You can pass, well, literally within yards of ships and never see them. Just go through his wake or his wash as he goes past.
Here's a wash!
And it's a bit hairy to say the least in the river sometimes, especially tide time when everybody's on the move. You need your wits about you, and it isn't a very nice place to be at all. I'd rather have a gale of wind any day than fog.
You say out, Jack?
Humber Coast Guard, Cleethorpes Coast Guard, over. Cleethorpes Humber, over. Reference the overdue boat. At this time, it is coming in the creek at the back of the Cleethorpes Pier. Over. This is Mobile Roger, returning to station. Humber Coast Guard, Cleethorpes Coast Guard. Did you copy? Over. Cleethorpes Humber, yes, this is definitely confirmed as the boat we want. He's coming into the pier now. Is that correct? Over. Affirmative. Humber Lifeboat, Humber Coast Guard. Humber Coast Guard, Humber Lifeboat. Humber Lifeboat, Humber Coast Guard. Did you copy that from Cleethorpes? They have been found. That's a Roger. We copied.
We certainly don't relish looking for any small boat in the fog, so when they come up and say he's returned, it's a bit of a relief, and I won't get back home out of it.
Humber Coast Guard, Humber Lifeboat. Humber Lifeboat, Humber Coast Guard, go ahead. Humber Coast Guard, Humber Lifeboat, return back to station. Humber Lifeboat, Humber Coast Guard, Roger, returning to station.
In the case of the missing fisherman, when he was finally traced, he'd got safely ashore. Brian Bevan doesn't at all mind the anticlimax. There'll be many other occasions when a launch leads, in a matter of minutes, to issues of life and death.
Safe and sound, safe and sound, safe and sound.
And you may like to know that at this moment, the Humber Lifeboat is out searching for one person whose boat overturned in high seas off the Lincolnshire coast. 2 people have already been rescued. And a reminder that you can join the crew for the second programme at the same time, 4:45, next Sunday.
When you're drifting and alone, and help can't be found, reach out and take my hand, with me you're safe and sound.
If you're tired, cold and lost, when night is all around, hold tight and wait for me. I'll send you safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
Reach out, take my hand, you'll be safe and sound. Take the light. Safe and sound. Reach out, take my hand, you'll be safe and sound.
The RNLI is a rescue service, but it's also a voluntary body in need of funds. And so its coxswains and crews are necessarily expert at public relations.
To carry approximately 14, 16 passengers.
Yes.
But that was never meant for the amount of people that were stationed here during the war.
Picture the economics of the thing haven't allowed it to be carried on like that. Because
Every year in August, the Admiral of the Humber, who is also the Lord Mayor of Hull, pays a visit to his lifeboatmen at Spurn Point. The Lord Mayor, as well as going to inspect some famous local personalities, is also looking after the interest many thousands of casual donors have, the boat itself.
So, we'll get you out, Lord Man, and introduce you to Mr. Zaney over here. So,
To who, Fred?
Back there. Mr. Zaney.
Oh, it's Mr. Zaney.
Well, I'll just take you.
Oh, yeah. Seems to be quite a lot of stores and things, anyway.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Secretary of Branch. Can I introduce you to Brian Bevan, our coxswain?
Pleased to meet you, sir.
Again.
Again?
Nice to meet you. Well, everybody knows Brian Bevan. Nice to meet you.
No.
Nice.
Yeah. That was glorious this morning. Beautiful sunshine.
It's nice.
It's nice and calm.
That comparatively must be nice in your book also.
Oh, yeah.
The kind of thing. Whereabouts you actually live then, Brian? Can you point it out?
Where do I
Your house.
Just the one on its own, just round the back of these.
So you've got to make a scramble from there?
Yeah, we run from the houses
You
here.
don't run or go on a motorbike?
No, we run. It just depends how urgent it is.
Oh, yeah.
More often than not. Just...
Are you able to say from the telephone call that you ultimately get how urgent it is?
Yeah.
Is it unknown for it to be called out a day like today, which is comparatively...
No, we often get called out weather like this.
Yeah.
With the amount of shipping in the river now, in the anchorage here, you'll see there's quite a lot of ships. We get what we call a lot of medico calls. Sick or injured staff. Sick or injured chaps off the ships.
And the only way to do that is with your boat?
Tell them to Grimsby. It just depends how serious they are. If they're a stretcher case.
Yeah.
Or we take a doctor, we have a lifeboat doctor as well.
I'll tell you another thing a fellow like myself often thinks about. Do you always have a full crew, whatever the job might be?
Oh yeah, we always have a full crew. This now summertime, there's a minimum of 5 of us on call all the time. In the winter, there's 6 of us.
Does that constitute a full crew?
There's 7, that constitutes full crew. There's 7 of us live here all the time. There's 1 chap on his holidays, 1 on a day off now. That leaves us with 5.
Want to be down the jetty?
Yep.
16p in every pound of the gifts and donations to the RNLI are spent on fundraising activities, and it's money well spent. For 3/4 of the charge's revenue go directly and exclusively to the lifeboat fleet. For every pound you donate, 76p is spent on the boats. This is an Arran-class boat and it cost £350,000. Since it came into service here at Spurn in 1977, 180 people in danger at sea have been brought to safety, and property valued at £1 million saved.
Can do, Bob. There's our radio gear.
Yeah.
There's all the engine dials. So
where do you actually drive from then?
From in here in the wheelhouse. This is the main steering position. All the controls are duplicated up on the flying bridge.
But you,
going to or from a job, you would be in here, inside. When we're manoeuvring, we go up on the flying bridge because you have a lot better all-around view. You're a bit restricted as what you can see on the outside from in here.
Brian Bevan and his crew can do this sort of thing almost without thinking. The facts and figures of their own boat, the general picture in the RNLI, the bread and butter of it all, but nicely laid out as for a party.
No, we don't go when it's rough now.
No, in the winter?
Nah.
You must be joking. What really happened? What really happened?
Well, you just hold on tight there and keep going.
But the most important fact, which gives Brian Bevan and the work of the RNLI its local significance, is the number of people who have been quite simply snatched from death. 70 people are alive today only because the Spurn lifeboat launched. Since this boat came on station, it's launched 300 times, half at night, and on 1 in 10 occasions in winds exceeding 35 knots.
Oh, he's got his fishing line there.
They are waving. He suggested that he wouldn't wave, they would shoot. So if the fog came right down now, then it would be all
on the radar.
And you would have to go down below.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, what did happen before radar?
That's the worst thing there is, I think, at sea, fog. We don't mind how hard it blows, because you can generally see then.
Yeah.
But in here now, the amount of shipping on the river,
Well, it's the fog that you... It's like a motorway at tide time. The fog and that.
In the holiday atmosphere of a trip round the bay, there's a sudden interruption of rescue drill.
Quite a normal drill.
It's all right when you're floating in the sea, don't it, really?
That's an interesting thing. Look, it's an inflation.
If in the summer months the crew might sometimes experience the mixed feelings of circus entertainers, it is from open days like this that general members of the public can get to know the lifeboat service. And it does still happen that individuals subscribe the costs of an entire boat. Nobody's ever said a cross word to a lifeboatman. Lots of people, without ever having met one, love them.
Well done, him too.
Hanging around there, Dave.
Yeah.
He looks dead.
Oh, whatever can it be like? Oh. Yeah, really. Oh, I think that was really nice of you to do that.
We'll have the next time.
I know, you're completely dry inside that, are you? Did you want to go inside?
The state of the art, 1983. Brian Bevan already, even at 37, has served on 3 earlier types of lifeboat.
When I first started in the lifeboats, it was at Bridlington, and it was a 35'6" Liverpool class lifeboat, which is just a bit different to the Arran. The Liverpool lifeboat was, well, very small now, or seems small compared to the boat we've got, and very, very low in the water, which didn't keep you very dry at all. They were very, very wet. I think the last remaining Liverpool's only just gone this year, and that was at Flamborough, where it was pushed along the beach to launch, and she was one of the last ones, I think, to be in service. But they were very, very wet boats. In 1968, we had to travel to Lowestoft in Suffolk to pick up the new Bridlington lifeboat, which was going to be the 37-foot Oakley. And although it's only 2 feet longer than the Liverpool, when we went and saw for the first time, it seemed a massive boat, a great big boat, compared to the Liverpool we're used to. And then again, the Oakleys they're a totally open boat, other than the little canopy aft where the mechanics and that sit, but they're totally open, so you fully face the elements in one of them. The Oakley boat at Brid, because it's a tidal harbour, is launched off a carriage with a tractor, and the majority of the jobs I used to be in the winter escorting the local fleet in adverse conditions. Just go down the beach with the tractor and the carriage, and the tractor literally push the carriage into the water so you've got enough depth of water, and slip off the carriage, and the tractor pull the carriage from under you. Going out through the broken water on the beach, you same again, wet through, probably cold before you'd even started to do your job that you've launched for, and you can be there several hours escorting or on the job, whatever, wet through, right from the start. You're totally working in the open all the time, and half the time up to your neck in water. But with the Arran now, I think we've turned us soft. I don't think we'd ever go back in an Oakley or a Liverpool. We wouldn't know how to perform, I don't think. We'd be all frozen to death after half an hour.
There's 4 or 5 keelboats lying off. There's heavy driving sleet and hail. And you can hardly stand up in the face of the wind, so we can't really see properly over.
Yeah, when I first came to Spurn as coxswain, we still had a Watson 46'9" lifeboat, which was in the boathouse. Although it only had half the speed of the Arran, 9 knots full speed was the Watson, whereas we've now got 18 knots. We did an incident to a yacht with the old lifeboat on the beach here at Spurn, whereas we backed in to try and pull him off. He'd parted his anchor and blown ashore. And we backed in, we got a rope on him, and there was more wind and tide than we first thought, and we washed round and come on the beach. We cut the tow rope away, backed off the beach, we bumped on the beach, no bother at all, backed out, dropped the anchor, veered in on him again, put a tow rope on him again, and the engines, you know, went full ahead, and taking every inch up of slack on the anchor cable, we succeeded in pulling him off. Whereas with a new boat, we'd have probably still pulled him off, but we wouldn't have been able to go in as close and to have beached him, and had to use the Zodiac or a rocket to fire the line across to him. Whereas with the old boat, we literally just washed up the beach with him, then come off again. Our boat is the 54-foot Arran class. The later one's now a 52. The only difference is ours has got a rounded stern and the new one's a more transom stern. It's 54-foot Arran class, self-righting, beam 17 foot, draft of 5 foot. It's called the City of Bradford the Fourth, which is the 4th lifeboat, paid for by the people of Bradford and surrounding districts. It's been stationed at Spurn. We got this boat in March 1977. 6 years old now, and it's probably the most up-to-date and latest modern lifeboat that the RNLI are now building. We can take all sorts of tasks on with the Arran. Can do virtually anything. Towing, we've towed some pretty big things, it tows very well. We've also got a portable fire pump for firefighting, which can also double as a salvage pump that we could either lash alongside and work it from our deck or transfer it to a boat that's making water. First aid, we'll carry stretchers, blankets, all the first aid equipment, general first aid kit. Now I've Entonox, pain-killing gas, morphine. All the crew are first aid trained. We have an inflatable 11-foot Zodiac up on the top with an outboard engine on that we can use for getting close in to anything close in on a beach that we can't actually get at with our own boat due to the depth of water. We've also got VHF DF aboard now. We've only had it aboard 3 or 4 months, which probably paid for itself already.
You know, we have probably a lot more comfort than the older boats. We can keep dry, get into a job, so you're in better condition when you get there. There's a lot of disadvantages as well, and we've got twice the speed of the old conventional lifeboat, and when it's bad you get twice the banging about and clattering getting there. But for actually doing sticky jobs, tricky jobs, where you're taking a crew off a merchant ship probably in bad weather and big sea, then that's the boat to do it. And we have 920 horsepower in there, and you can, you know, play cat and mouse with a ship. You could go in and back out, go in and back out, whereas with the old boats with a lot less power, a lot of the time you were committed. Once you committed yourself to going alongside him, you had to virtually hold her there till you did your job, then back out. You hadn't the power or the manoeuvrability to go in and out like you can with this class of boat.
We've proved over the last few years probably what the Arran can do. Some of the other Arrans around the coast as well. They're doing some terrific jobs now that would have been very difficult with any lesser boat.
Some weeks after the visit of the Admiral of the Humber, the lifeboat was called out on the kind of tricky job its design can make look so easy, to find swiftly and at dead of night a Grimsby boat called the Danbrit, which had reported a fire in its engine room.
Humber Coast Guard, Humber Lifeboat, crew list 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7,
Danbrit, Humber Coast Guard. Roger, sir. Is your engine still going? What sort of assistance do you require, please? Over.
I'm trying to get hold of a breathing apparatus. I suspect it's the wiring, but we've only got one fan to the engine. The problem is here, we might be 4 or 5 bloody hours, we might be all day, but driving, trying to get down there because we can't have for the fumes, like the smoke is so dense. It's gone right through the fish room, right through the folks, and right through the engine room. Bloody fish room's like a kipper house instead of a fish room, over.
Danbrit, this is Humber Coast Guard. Yes, Skipper, don't take any risks. If there's any danger at all, just keep yourself clear of it, and the lifeboat will be out shortly. Humber Lifeboat, Humber Coast Guard. Yes, okay, the Danbrit is about 070 degrees from Spurn light vessel, about 2.2 miles. He is at anchor. The fire seems to have gone through to the fish room, so he's got keepers in there at the moment. And he'll be waiting for you there. He is at the moment on 67 if you'd like to go over.
Roger, channel 67.
67.
Danbrit with fire on board.
Danbrit, yeah.
Alright, good morning, Brian.
Yeah, come on, let's get Ronstone service. This is the Danbrit on fire in the Spurn light vessel. Listen out, 282 down 16.
Danbrit, Humber Lifeboat.
You hear me there, Brian? It's snowy, over.
Stand by when I put your phone on.
Okay.
Yeah, I've copied most of what you said, so what's the latest gen you've got for us, though?
I can see the Spurn. Hey! I know she's burning. The Spurn is 3 or 4 miles southwest for west of us. Come on, I get Brian on. Southwest for westward. You'll see all the lights up here, Brian. We're steaming an hour, about in less than 14 minutes. The bloody smoke full the engine room, right through the fish room, right through forward. We couldn't get down there for bloody fumes, and we got this to got the anchor on bottom right, and she swung around so we cleared the fumes from engine room. But the entire circuit, electrical circuit from the main switchboard panel is on fire. I'm trying to cut it out. So whether the bloody thing will really cut or not, I don't know. Whether it'll catch fire, through the ship, I don't bloody know, Brian, because you can't see the paneling. I'll get some foam on it, Brian, ease the anchor up and see if the bloody head towards the Spurn with all the lights on. They won't last long, the lights won't, now the wiring's gone. They won't last half an hour, they'll all disappear, we'll lose all the juices. All right, spec over.
I got you, Snowy. Do you say you're going to pick your anchor up now, will it?
Oh, they go back down, Brian. They said the bulkhead's on fire. Down the engine room, the bulkhead and all is on fire. Brian, keep going. I'll go and have a look, Brian. You keep coming towards us. I'll go and have a look. I'll go down there again, over.
Yeah, okay, sir. We're coming full belt. Danbrit, getting snowy on it.
Yeah, that's you. I'll pass down here, Brian. Let you come here, isn't it, over? About half a mile over.
Yeah, that's it. Which is the start to come alongside you, port side of it.
It's on port side, Brian. You won't catch our doors then, will you? I won't do the damage, okay? Right there.
Yeah, okay.
Can you reach that? How many houses have we got? Will it reach down here? Both. Just put the spray on it. Your battery's turning off. Oh, you can't though. No. Once all the mains is off, kill that. You see where it's all burnt.
Oh, very when his lights go with knackers.
Yeah. You see where it's all burnt with south.
When you give it a spray there, if we get our engine going, you could behind us the car's full, right? We'll pick it up, yeah. Because the faster we will turn over. Well, right.
Let's put it all right down, back it up. Between them bulkheads.
He says he could see it coming to end.
It's just a bit thick.
Then I'll pop it out here.
There's some pitch in there, but it won't burn now.
Along the deck, that I never looked down there, you stupid.
Do you require any further assistance?
No, not this time.
You can see down there, it's still the red end. This side, it can't be there. It's gone from the paneling, see? It started and then it's gone, travelled up through the bulkhead. It's a wooden bulkhead. It's between there and the fish room bulkhead, you get what I mean? It's burning everywhere. Put foam into it.
Yeah, but whatever's smouldering, if it's in your wiring, foam won't put it out.
No, because it's trotting along it.
The mains are still on, that's what I'm
but the juice in the batteries was the lights. The battery juice was keeping it going. The batteries.
That's what I mean.
But see, the series been going. It only happened in half an hour. This is the boat. Nothing ever goes right on. Alright? Everything's done wrong. It's supposed to have been wrong. Your name is a difference. You've been on fire. Been everything. See how this boat sunk. All sunk. They spent more money on this boat than they spent on the Queen Mary. She still don't like playing. She's humanised this boat. What she's worth. Thousands and thousands of pounds of this bloody thing. Alright, Snow, it's alright. You set up to the dock, we'll follow you up. Dave's going to keep checking down there every 5 minutes or so. Make sure he hasn't been here. Loud and clear, over.
Yes, I've just been asked in the lifeboat reference to your fire. Do you still have a lot of smoke, over?
She's still smoking plenty, that's all I can tell you, but we can't see no flames, but I still smoke like over.
Roger, well, I want all this information. I will pass this to the fire brigade and with your ETA, they're expecting about 9:15, and they will definitely be down there to meet you, over.
Dunbridge, Humber Lifeboat.
What do you call? Put the donkey on it to fire again, but I'll put the ship's main hose on it, like. I'm keeping the hose down there. We try and hold the container this way with the ship's hose, like. Hope we can see, hope we can manage it. Okay.
5 hours after the Humber lifeboat reached her, the Dunbridge was made safe enough to limp back to port.
Yeah, pretty small herring for breakfast.
We only want to fry if she's built a boat.
The incident was logged in the neutral language of rescue. Humber lifeboat gave help. The worst outcome of a fire at sea had been averted, and the perplexed Snowy was alive to rue his luck. On another night, the lifeboat crew might have earned itself another commendation. In some other dawn, there could have been an ambulance waiting on the dock.
Spurn Point, the home of the Humber lifeboat and its crew, is one of the most vulnerable pieces of land in the British Isles. Well, last February the sea broke through its defences, and in next week's programme we can see how the lifeboatmen coped with this crisis. Lifeboat, next...
Spurn Point is easily identified on your nightly weather map. It slants and droops across the Humber, a thin ribbon of sand that's been collected and demolished, built up and dumped down over the centuries, and still at the mercy of winter seas and spring tides, never completely destroyed, never completely at peace.
Yeah, the point itself now is very narrow indeed in places and low as well, and we're quite suspect now to a major breach.
On February the 2nd of this year, a combination of high tide and strong wind broke the point in two. The sea rushed across the dunes and the road and cut the lifeboat station off from the mainland.
Humber Coast Guard, Humber Alpha, over.
Humber Alpha, Humber Coast Guard.
Yeah, she's breached about 100 yards in length at the point where you suggested, over.
This is Humber, Roger, thank you. How big is the breach?
The seas are coming over the top now of the earth, and it's approximately 100 yards in length. The road is about 2 foot deep in water, over. I think it's going to be quite serious, this, we've got another hour to run, over.
Yeah, we're in contact with the emergency planning and we're keeping them in the picture. There's not much we can do this end unless King Canute's about. Okay, then we'll stand by the frequency.
Humber Delta, Humber Coast Guard, over.
Radio, cover code radio,
give me a sit-rep, please, Phil, on the state of play? Over.
Yeah, the road appears to be breached by the old breach, and it's flooded for approximately 500 to 800 yards either side. Whether it's impassable or not, we don't know, but according to the lads that were down there just now, the water is running from the seaside into the bight, so it looks like it's breached properly. Over.
This winter, with the bank being put there, the sea was breaking up the bank and over the top and washed a lot of the loose clay down into the road, and the road became blocked during the night in about a couple of foot of deep mud. So the bank did take the sting out of it, so to speak. I took a majority of the stick. For 18 hours it was shut, was the road, but we were okay, so we got away very lucky. Just have to see what happens now for this winter.
The rescue helicopter stood by to lift off Spurn's only occupants, if necessary. Brian Bevan has a strong interest in the survival of the road. His crew and their families live in 7 houses out of the point without shops or doctors. Keeping the road open is essential.
How many? Just the one, yeah.
Has he been through the door?
Yeah, he's just cleared this end, and I was waiting for the 6 for this guy, and then he come right through. Yeah.
What would it have been like then if the bank hadn't been there?
I bet that in some respect.
In some respect?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, could have gone straight across and just left some, like it did last time.
Yeah, but surely that's what the bank put there for, to stop it doing that, innit?
We still got it.
Last time, Christ, we were days before they got it opened, before a car could get through.
Yeah, we could go across with Amdale straight away on the sand.
Yeah, on the beach. I mean, we're 3 weeks without fresh water before.
Yeah, with the pipe busting.
Yeah.
And the telephones are gone then, haven't they?
In this particular storm, the old Ministry of Defence pier was destroyed by the actions of the sea. For the crew and their families, a bit of the everyday landscape was simply scrubbed out. But there's a very long tradition in the lifeboat service at Spurn of energetic beachcombing, and Sid Rollinson and Bob White are quickly on the beach in a 45-year-old Alice Chalmers tractor, turning the timbers of the pier, quite unsentimentally, into profit. Much of the pier turned up in hundreds of homes in Hull that spring as firewood. The point is owned by the Yorkshire Naturalist Trust. Thousands of birds perished in that same storm. John Cudworth, chairman of the Bird Observatory Committee, came down to Spurn to record what was, for ornithologists, a tragic aftermath.
All these auks here are razorbills, and they've all been picked up on the beach south from Easington over the last 2 or 3 days. We think they've all died because of they've been unable to feed because of the strong, initially strong westerly winds and then the strong northerly winds over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Certainly, as far as I'm concerned, I've never seen anything like this on the Yorkshire coast. I can't remember ever seeing anything like this where the birds have just died because they can't feed.
Storms and gales have wrecked 2 previous lighthouses, including one built by John Smeaton, who designed the Eddystone Light. This building was erected in 1898, and it's the daily responsibility of Brian Bevan's crew to maintain. Once a week, they give it the real spit and polish.
steps.
We look after the lighthouse for Truthie House, as there's no full-time lighthouse keeper, so we all take it in turns, putting the curtains up, one thing another, cleaning the brass, generally clean it. And we get, it's just gone up to £104 a quarter, which is not bad money actually. Tax to come off that, I'm afraid. I clear £75 a week, exactly. No, it's built up in, you get a basic wage, I forget what it is exactly, but it's built up with the basic wage and your station allowance. I think it's £20 a week, and we get £5 a week for actual travelling, doing shopping once a week. Well, it's £2.50 a week, I say, £5 a fortnight for that. We do get the normal call-out money, which isn't very much. £3 for the first hour and £1 an hour ever after that. We're never going to get rich doing this job, I can say that.
Yeah, if you want to just wash them off now.
The popular image of a lighthouse, all the associations we make with it and its actual shape, suggest that once built, it's there forever. But each of the two previous ones on this site, just as imposing, lasted only 100 years before the sea got them. The February storm of 1983 undercut the beach round by the lighthouse to a depth of 20 to 30 feet, tore away the sea defences as if they were tissue paper, and scoured out the base of Smeaton's original light. In 1982, you could have stepped from the parapet of the roundhouse to the sand with an ice cream in your hand. The lighthouse is the responsibility of the Trinity House. And each summer, two elder brethren, suitably grave and formal, make an annual inspection of the light and pass their solemn judgment on the lifeboat crew's maintenance duties.
Coxswain Bevan's on his
holiday, yes.
I'm the second coxswain.
How do you do? My name is Edge, Captain Orr. How do you do?
Captain Orr.
It's Major. So,
Yes, good.
well, we'll
Start,
go up to the top, shall we, and have a look?
I've just this moment switched the light on just to be warming it up.
Yes.
We have the... Especially in the year after the previous.
Yes,
in
yes.
the lighthouse the next morning.
Yes.
We had your weekly allowance of drink.
Keeps you fit. No matter how many I come up, I'm always puffed at the top. So you'll be Captain all the time, right?
Yes.
And then we'd like to see a change of mantle. Stopwatch.
It's all right. We'll keep it going, then.
Well satisfied with the light, so I can turn that off, Mr. Bevan, if you'd like.
Yes, sir.
Well, I look, the whole structure, everything looks to be in very nice condition. Very nicely kept indeed. Well, we'll go down. Good.
in 35-foot size.
Yeah.
You've got something going,
yes,
which we did.
But it's a great credit to you. I say it's as nice a looking station as one could expect to see as an attendance station. I think it's super. So I've said such in the audible, which goes back to 1858.
There have been lifeboatmen living here since the war with Napoleon. These photographs are a sort of laconic history of hard times. But by a paradox to do with modern techniques of rescue, in the last 10 years, Spurn, the folksy picture postcard, has changed completely. Dennis Bailey saw the last of the old lifeboat station.
The old houses we was in was over 125 year old. It was quite warm, but it was too small. The only thing was, when we had rough seas, we had to have wooden shutters to put up at our windows to stop the driftwood smashing through the windows. Well, there was a straight line of houses, and the first house, number 1, was the coxswain's house, and the last house was the mechanic's house. And it was in one complete line. And when the sirens went off and that, you'd see every man run out of his back door. It seemed as if they was all together. It didn't seem one at a time. It just seemed as if they all swept out at one go. The sirens and bells, it was just the same. And we used to run down, right down to the bottom to the boathouse, and if it was night time, there was no lights. You just had to watch your footing as you went. And then into the boathouse, and you was away. Now, we could do it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most. It was fast on our feet in them days. It was easy getting into the boat with it in the boathouse. Now, regards to getting aboard, I would have the boathouse launch any time. It's a lot easier.
What's left of all this, still kept in apple pie order, is the old boathouse, which has the echo and the gleam of what most townies think of still as the genuine lifeboat sort of a place.
Well, when our boarding boat wants any repair, we put the boarding boat on the cradle and ease it up into the boathouse, so we can work on it and be able to launch it at any more or less any straight of tide. Unless it gets too low water, and then we can't get it out. But we usually have the job finished. We set it so we can put it on just as the tide's up. That's where the first started, was up here in October 18th. They arrived with the furniture and the wife and that, and came up to me and they said, "You've got a call on, we've got an injured man to come off." Yeah. We launched and we left our lass and the other neighbours helping her in with the furniture.
The real history of Spurn, its reason for being, apart from a few naturalists and fishermen, is recorded on these walls. The rescues undertaken, the lives saved, the lives lost. The service has never stopped, not even for war, nor does a name or a date always tell the whole story, nor is much of it remembered outside those who were most directly affected.
Well, some of the jobs stand out in your mind, but the rest of them, you can't think about them.
Spraggy Arcturus, this is Humber Coast Guard. Yes, good morning to you. We have received word that you have an injured crew member on board who requires to be taken ashore to hospital. The Humber lifeboat is launching now to come to you, and he will be alongside in about 1 hour's time.
Hey, Bob, that was not a Humber Light, wasn't it? 1 mile north to Humber Light. Right. Lovely.
medivacs. We do quite a lot of medivacs around here, because in the anchorage, off the river as well, quite busy shipping. Sick people on ships, injured men on ships, injured women anyway, or sick women as well. There's quite a lot of women now on the Scandinavian ships. All the ships normally have medical advice anyway, through the coast radio station to a doctor. He advises what to do, whether it's be urgent a helicopter would lift them off or lifeboat lift them off.
Spoke Tourist, Humber Lifeboat, channel 16.
This is Brother Tourist replying, Humber Light, go ahead.
Spoke Tourist, Humber Lifeboat, heavy 6-7 please.
6-7, roger.
We got an ETA, Dennis. Spoke Tourist, Humber Lifeboat, Skipper, we'll be with you very shortly. I wonder whether you can start turning to give us a lee, and what side will you have your ladder down, over?
Roger, we intend to lower the casualty with a Nile stretcher, in your boat. Please come alongside port side, just forward of the superstructure. There's a good lee at the moment. We have the wind from about 6 points on starboard side, over.
Roger, sir, come along port side.
Correct.
Roger, we'll remain on this channel if you want to call us.
Very good, keeping 6-7.
Port side, Dennis. And he's going to lower him in a nylon stretcher. Bring it on. Bring the rope. Just get him in the cabin. Right on. Hang on. Right, please. I'll go back. You're not going to get through when you're there. Not now, I'm going I will. All right. I'm doing my magic. Stop in there. Hello? My bag. Don't yours. Don't worry about your bag. You get it. Right. All right. Can you walk? Yes. We're better walking.
Good. Elbow, Sid. What are you going to do for elbow? Elbow. You up? Good. Okay, around here. 10 round. Okay, head through it. Turn left. You get that, Sid. When you put a man in a Neil Robertson, don't put his arms inside it next time. No, not the arm. Never the arm. They give that to pregnant women. Okay? It's good. You won't fall asleep, and you hold it yourself. When you've had enough, just take it away. But the gas will take the pain away, okay? It's good stuff. Okay? When you feel it, I'll have it.
I'll take it later on because I don't feel now.
No, I think you take it now, okay? Just for a few minutes.
1 hour, 45 minutes, over.
Just relax. Big breath. Breathe normal. Press against your face. Okay? That's good.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Wait. Look.
The Filipino fell off a ladder while painting and will probably end up in an orthopedic ward with a Grimsby man who did the same, but who's never been to sea.
So me in bed.
To fetch him from the ship, to give him first aid and rush him to the shore, no charge. Not to him, nor to his ship's owners.
Did you join your ship back in Immingham? I don't think so.
Maybe fly home, eh?
Fly home.
Been enough.
When should you in? Pardon? When should you into Immingham? When? Yeah. Tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning?
No, I don't think personally that the RNLI would ever charge. We rely on voluntary contributions to run the service. They pay for the fleet, they pay for the crews, the equipment and everything. And I think if it was ever brought into force that there would be a charge for saving a life or saving property, I'm sure it would go the opposite way, where people wouldn't ask for assistance until the job or incident that they had was extreme, and it would probably lead to boats not calling for assistance till it was too late because of the fear of what it was going to cost them.
Put this dress in, okay? Right, we'll just come round there.
The passport, everything else, all his papers, ship's papers, a lot. They're all in there. Right.
Reach out, take my hand, and say
Humber Coast Guard, Humber Lifeboat, Channel 0.
Radio then.
Humber Coast Guard, Humber Lifeboat, slipping moorings at this time, proceeding to investigate this small boat broken down off Spurn. Over.
Being a lifeboatman is a lovely job to have if you see it in summertime and with the eye of a holidaymaker. But for the Humber Lifeboat crew, going to do a demanding job at sea is only part of the game. They have to work at staying friends on land. Sometimes it's a pleasure for them to go to sea, even for a job round the corner, just to break the boredom.
You got a bit of a problem?
We've got a dead engine.
Where you come from?
Come down from Kilnsea.
From Kilnsea? Well, have you got a car and a trailer at the other end?
Yeah. Well, we're going to wait for flat and go in and then walk up. Then I'll be clean. Right. Under the ring, on forward. No, you're right here, right forward. You're alright. And it's just fasten on your cleat. There's your glove. Alright.
That'll do. We can.
You could have held it with a piece of string.
You get it aboard, Bob. You can still lift it if you get it aboard, alright. Well, it's got in that little bit of bother anyway.
Number Coast Guard, Number Lifeboat. Roger, Phil. We're going to beach this boat at Spurn, find a point. We'll then get all the names and addresses of people on board, and we'll relay them to you as soon as we get back on the mooring.
Who's the owner? Name and address?
What length is she? 16 foot.
16? We just out for a day's fishing from Kilnsea. I'm going to catch her with James. Have you been down here before? You've got ours, there you? Yeah. You want to be further up that way. See where the car park is?
Yeah.
There's a slipway outside of there. So that when you don't come down on the beach with your car though, it's real soft.
Yeah, trailer down there.
So you'd have to, and then get somewhere. There'll be plenty of hands to get pull up with it.
No, we'll give it you.
Is it just engine failure on the outboard?
Well, yeah, I think it's just its back, that's what somebody.
You carry life jackets?
Yeah.
Flares?
Yeah.
Tell you what, you're well rigged with an anchor anyway. Because most little boats wouldn't have anchored there. It's too deep. They normally haven't got enough cable.
Yeah. Well, we have some more ropes looking for us as well.
Yeah. It had a good hold, like, even when we got older.
They had,
Mind you, it's a good job you had, really. The time out of tide there was, that it whistled you out.
No, you can't.
I'm a satisfied customer.
Try to do it together. Right, yeah. Thank you, lad.
Spurn Point is one of those places in Yorkshire that people love to visit, perhaps a little because it is remote and to some even romantic. Brian Bevan and his full-time crew must take a more sanguine view.
There's only the 7 houses here and the 7 families. We are on top of each other all the time, so it's occupational hazard, I suppose. Mind you, when it is like that, we are, I would think, you know, one sort of big family now.
The crew must be married to serve at Spurn. The 7 couples have produced 14 children, the eldest of whom is at work, and the youngest still in nappies.
There is a lot of spare time to kill, so boredom is the main thing, but the chaps can always generally find something to do, even if it's only fishing on the beach with a rod or angling, or we've got one there who's a bit of a... He has CB in his shed and he's a radio amateur.
Rod viewing. Yes, I reckon they look smashing them on... well, it got them on slide as well.
The wives probably that are sat in the house 6 days, and it's probably them, unless they find something to keep their minds occupied, it's them, I think, that becomes more unsettled as opposed to the lads.
Sue White is married to Bob, the boat's mechanic. Both her boys were born on Spurn.
When I used to live in a busy town, I used to get bored there. You know, that it's no different to anywhere else. And so you got your friends down here, and if you do get bored, you know, that either one of them will come over or you'll just go over there. You soon get over it. That's no different to living anywhere else around. You're isolated and you're out the way, you know, you are sort of cut off that. You can't mix with so many people as you'd like to. But then again, you just get used to it. Oh, it does get on your nerves a bit with them being around you all day. Sometimes you wish for the bell to go so they'll get out your way, but mind you go over in the shed and do odd jobs here and there. You know, they don't get in your way when they're here day and night. But, you know, it's another thing you just sort of learn to live with it. But as for his job, there's always a danger that one day they will go out and they might never come back. But that's one of the things I sort of never think about. His job is on the lifeboat and that's it, and it's his job. And you just go out and do it, you know, and sort of just worry about things once you get back, and he tells you.
Yeah, the entertainment at Spurn, well, we haven't a lot of entertainment really. We have our own social room, which is only used really on special occasions. Christmas time, New Year, we normally have a bit of a do. You're a bit tied in what you can do because you've always got in the back of your mind that the phone can ring at any moment and away you go. Whoever comes dancing in a bare feet now will be alright. There's a joint pin on the floor.
Light in the darkness, sailors, day is at hand. See all the foaming billows, fair haven's land. There was the boy sailor, now almost gone. Stay within the lifeboat, sailor, pull for the shore.
We've had the Farley Fishermen's Choir down recently. They wanted to come down and sing and entertain us. And we got it rigged up, the weather was fine and everything, so we went down to the pub at Kilnsea and had it in there where all the crew, we went off together with the wives, with the fishermen to entertain us, the Fishermen's Choir. Then again, we're on call down there. The Coast Guard would just ring us if they wanted us, and we'd come flying back down here.
Round the darkness disappearing, glory is nigh. Safe in the lifeboat, sailor, sing evermore. Glory, glory, hallelujah, pull for the shore. Pull for the shore, sailor, pull for the shore. He's not the rolling waves, but bend through the oar. Safe in the lifeboat, sailor, sing to surf no more. Sing the chorus, stand and wreck and pull.
In one of the houses the RNLI provides, Pauline and Peter Thorpe have 4 children getting ready for Christmas.
Hiya. Noah, hiya.
I'll put my name to go then. I'll put it round there. Right.
The red one, and then I'll put these in. If it's very bad night when they're going out and you watch them go, it just flashes through your mind. You hope they're okay. It doesn't prey on your mind. You've got a life to lead and things to do when they've gone. If it's on a night time, I do listen to the receiver, not to whittle about whether it's okay, just an interest to hope the job's going okay and hope that nobody's in any more danger.
Got what? What colour? Yellow?
Yes, that's enough.
Good morning, Father Smith. Hello there, doggy.
That's it, right?
Hello there, doggy.
Yes.
Oh, that's jolly good. Good morning, everybody, and a Merry Christmas to you all. Merry Christmas to you all. Well, your smiling face. Hello, Mother. There's a new one there. Hello. Right, boys and girls, I've got some presents for you. All the way from Lapland. Bye, Tom. Daniel. Daniel is here. Hey, Daniel. Ah, you are lucky. Lots of presents. Claire? Claire, where are you, Claire? There we are, dear. From Father Christmas.
You know,
Yes.
Lisa.
Lisa. Carl.
There he is.
There we are, dear. There we are. Yes.
Anne Bevan, as the coxswain's wife, has perhaps the role demanding the most tact. Not to be the squire's lady, yet not to stay remote from her neighbours. And not to get too chummy either. The Bevans can't help but be in charge of Spurn, however much they might wish it not to seem so at times.
Simon. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
No, you have any left for you, mate.
Merry Christmas, everyone. We've got to go. We've got lots more boys and girls to see. Bye.
Oh, you're too late, mate.
To the disappointment of the kids, it wasn't a white Christmas. The road to the mainland was clear, and the crew threw a party for the grown-ups. Whatever the news these visitors bring, whatever difficulties they might have with the boss, for example, or worries about the future of the country, to their hopes, it's hardly relevant. For them, the choice they've made in joining the rescue service settles and, so to speak, eliminates all other choices. They are, for as long as they're on Spurn, at the beck and call of the sea, and content to be so.
I really enjoy the job I do. Why, you know, basically, I was brought up in a fishing family. My father was a fisherman and also a lifeboatman, and I'd sort of been connected with the lifeboat ever since, well, before I even left school. I mean, when I first started going to the lifeboat station back in Sheringham, I was about 13 or 14, and we used to get paid half a man's wages. I wouldn't want to do any other job.
Then what about Penlee, someone asks?
Well, it even makes me shiver now to think of it. Them lads, they did what they could, and they lost their lives for it. I might be making myself a scapegoat here, but the only thing I say is I think the Arrow and I should have given every man Jack a gold medal on that, even though, you know, I mean, they'd lost their lives. What more could they give? That was like the Long Oak, Fraserburgh, those things happen. And if it should ever happen to you, well, your number's there. If you go, you go.
With such a tight-knit and tough little community, it takes dedication to stay and courage to say when you've had enough and leave. In the new year, Mick Story, a crewman, put in for and got a job on a boat in northern Scotland. In Spurn's way of looking at it, it was a step up and a step down. He was to be a coxswain, but of course his service was to revert to part-time.
Yeah, Spurn Point's got something, I think, to offer to certain people. The isolation's rather nice at first, and the peace and quiet, and what have you. There's plenty of jobs to give anyone crew training here. But I think after a while you grow out of it. You lose any sort of ability to contribute things to the station. I think I've lost it, so it's really about time I went. Oh, Dawn's quite happy about it. And she enjoys the challenge as well, a new start somewhere. She feels the same as I do as well, that we've outgrown Spurn, or Spurn's had enough of us or something, but also the children are at that age now where they want to be experiencing other things. They don't want to be isolated down here. I mean, really, apart from the beach, which there's some outsiders, that live inland, it would be idyllic for kids. But when you've said that, that's it. I mean, that's all Spurn's got. They miss such a lot, I think, and I think when they get to the age of Marto, although they aren't very old, I know what, David's 11 now, but I think he's ready for other things, like, and be starting senior school, so I think he ought to be around things where he can learn what he wants to do later on in life, whereas here all he's ever going to see is either the pilots or the lifeboats.
We have birds in the house.
Yes,
The thermal's out now, eh? No, there.
In the darkness, sailors, there is a land. See all the foaming billows, Haven's land. There was the boyish sailor now.
The crew at Spurn have a particular weather eye open for the wind in a certain quarter. When it blows from the southwest for hard enough and long enough, to board the lifeboat at its moorings would become just too dangerous. It's a matter of fine judgment. At a certain point, she must slip and run to the protection of the dock at Grimsby.
bail out to go to Grimsby is when there's westerly, southwesterly gales, and it can get very rough on the moorings. It isn't the fact that the big boat won't take it or is dangerous on the moorings, it's the fact that it's so dangerous for us to board, just using a small boarding boat and trying to go alongside 12 to 15 foot seas, breaking seas there, and you've got to try and get alongside a rolling lifeboat. I don't think there's anything rolls worse than an Arran lifeboat in windy weather, especially when she isn't steaming. And basically what we do is we bail out either just before or as the wind is starting to increase. We say, right, well, that's enough, we'll clear off to Grimsby.
Hello mate, Coast Guard here. Yeah, you're just doing another gale warning. Could you tell me what it was?
Yeah, well, yeah, but you've got this...
10:30, yeah? Yeah. Storm 10 now veered southwesterly, yeah?
I think the worst part about the job is getting onto the lifeboat, actually, using this small boarding boat. It really is dangerous. It can be, especially when you're half asleep in the middle of the night. Suicidal, in a word. Once we get on the lifeboat, I feel a lot safer. You know, it's ridiculous as it sounds, but it's a bad way of launching. But I don't believe all the brains of the institution tell us there are no better ways of getting on it. I don't know.
Sometimes I would say that was as dangerous as boarding it as getting casualties off a ship. But I can understand how them chaps feel when he says, come on, jump. It's not an easy thing to do. We're telling them to jump, we're waiting there to grab them, we want to save them, but I can understand the anticipation because of when I've had to board this boat when she's jumping around just in the river here.
I don't mind going to Grimsby. It's a time when all the crew themselves, without the wives, can go out and have a couple of pints. It's a case of you're either sitting on a lifeboat all night or you just walk up. Yeah, we're still on duty. Then again, we take a radio with us, and really it's no different leaving the boat over there, moored to the wall, than it is leaving it moored up on the moorings here.
On the occasion of this particular southwesterly, there was a very unexpected pleasure for the manager of a local club.
Nice to see you again. Sure. Yes, of course. Do be our guest. Now, look, what I've done is there's a little bar beside it. I think you might be a bit embarrassed or anything. Left there or anywhere else.
You only have really found what's comfortable. You know, like me, got that little peak with you, you know, and
I've been after one for a long time.
I'll bring it back. One of them. More your age than
When I
mine.
was a lad.
So we'd like a nice round of applause for Brian Bevan and the Lifeboat crew.
honestly, it isn't too bad. It's uncomfortable, the arrangements we've got over there for sleeping. We all sleep on board the boat. Generally, it's winter time, and there's 6 of us on the boat. There's only 2 bunks forward, 2 aft, and 1 in the wheelhouse. So that means someone's got to sleep on the floor. Perhaps I'm lucky because I generally get the bunk in the wheelhouse, but then again I maintain the listening watch on the radio. Not only that, I don't think the others like my snoring. That probably keeps them awake.
Good night, Jack.
Good night, Jack. Good night, boys.
All ships, this is Humber Radio. Gale warning, 2120 GMT. Fisher, German Bight, Humber. Gales now ceased. Southerly severe gales force 9. Expected soon.
The final program in this series will be next Sunday at 4:55.
When you're drifting and alone and just can't be found, reach out and take my hand, give me a safe sound. If you're tired of holding on, when night is all around, hold tight and wait for me.
Most of us only ever see a lifeboat from the beach in summer, when the idea of the sea being anything other than a family friend is something almost indecent. But the Humber lifeboat crew know only too well that rescue doesn't have a close season. Put a few thousand careless, carefree holidaymakers down beside a sea, and anything can happen. In the summer, the Coast Guards received a call from a motor yacht, Midnight Moon, which might or might not be on fire, and might or might not have issued a Mayday call, the international signal of distress. For the lifeboat service, though, there's no perhaps. The Humber lifeboat put to sea.
North of Maglethorpe.
In the Coast Guard station, a discussion went on about how genuine the call had been.
Midnight Moon. Yeah? He's asking, do we know anyone that can give him a toke which you've had all the information about? And I said, well, there's no way we can help or you can help unless he's in distress. So he said, we'll make it a Mayday. I don't honestly think he's in a distress situation as wanted a Mayday, and yeah, he's asked for it.
He's actually asked for one?
He said, make it a Mayday. But I certainly don't think he's in the full sense of the word in distress.
No, he's not, no.
He's becalmed, he says, but there is a gale warning, which there is.
Yeah.
There's a gale warning issued for the Humber.
Yeah.
If he's got no main engine, he could become a casualty. Is there anything you can do? Do you think?
Well, I just
colleague here was saying if it's called Mayday, we have to treat it as a Mayday, and then we take it to a board of inquiry. Is it the only position you've got, Bill?
At the moment, yes, I'll give you a course to speak at 3 o'clock, Spurn line, Bill.
Roger, we'll proceed to Spurn. No, Dennis, to proceed to Spurn, and they'll give us a course there.
Same line.
Overflow.
What, mate, what?
Overflow.
Mayday relay, Mayday relay, Mayday relay. All ships, this is Humber Coast Guard. A Mayday relay.
It's off naval stop somewhere. That yacht. It's that same yacht. Is it on fire? It's that yacht. What we could have gone out to before? Yeah. What you told us about? Yeah. That's right.
I say again, a Mayday auxiliary sloop, midnight moon, position, salt fleet, overfalls, fire in engine room, require immediate assistance.
You made a call yacht on a fire near the Ross Spit Buoy over there to the port. And there's about 3 in it, but I think the tower's dead of us.
Yeah, there was a tower there.
Yeah, well, the only thing we can see more or less together is the other side of the point,
Well, we're only, according to today's bearing, what they give us, we're only about a mile to go. Just want to see if this is number 5. This should be number 5.
Lovely.
Is this him? Is there? Have you got the glasses there? Have you got the glasses there? Jack! Help Pete to get the tower rope ready! Tower rope! No, the one out the locker!
The lifeboat crew are professionals. They get there in best time. When they get there, they maintain a public politeness and composure. But if you listen, you can hear something of what they must feel about this side of their job, saving a man from his own lack of seamanship.
Trouble them man that she owns a mast if she's a yacht. Can't be a very good seaman. Johnny. We've got a line as well. Use all the old one. Give me yourself. Stand it.
Okay, take that then.
We're all up here, Dennis.
Oh, well, give him it then if you get it all set through the fair lead. Give him it then if you get it in the fair lead.
Oh, that bloody shit.
Hey, I hope you've got a good lens. Right, make it fast at that there, yeah, and then we'll get away from it.
Eh? Well, I can't get much more out.
Is he all that fast? Are you moving fast?
All right, yeah. Got to wait then.
Humber Coast Guard, Humber Lifeboat, Channel 0. Roger, remaining on Channel 0 from now.
Roger, thanks very much.
In rescue terms, even a long day like this one does some good, insofar as it advertises the need to think about the sea in a more responsible way. Better a wild goose chase, and more to the point a free tow, than a disaster.
I'll come and have a word with you when you're in the lock gate.
But nobody would really want to be the skipper of the Midnight Moon, as Bob White examines her engine for signs of fire.
It was supposed to be rebuilt last year.
Still coming up.
I think it must have been cooling water trouble.
You do understand over the radio when you pass your mate out that you said you had a fire in the engine room?
Yes, we did.
What actual part was on fire?
Well, it was, the rubber was burning and scorching, and the smoke and fumes were coming up like nobody's business. Actually, I didn't say I had it. What I said to the coaster was, we have had a fire, but it was under control.
Well, he's not the only one who's going to make the rescue services look like people wasting their time on little local irresponsibilities. As the summer gets going, every Coast Guard's nightmare is bulging with inflatable dinghies.
It's an empty rubber dinghy. The Golf Kilo Juliet, the chopper, inbound from the Indy battlefield. And it'll be that inflatable went off at Skegness early on, yeah. You see ships these days going by, they only have time. It costs a lot of money to stop a ship on the high seas. Yes, and they only have time to sink it really. If they're going to launch a rescue operation, you might find that you have a large filter tank. It's the same one, yellow and black inflatable.
Yeah.
Being blown out to sea, south and the Hornsea, no one in it.
That's right.
Okay?
He only wanted any ship coming across it to bring it back for him.
Okay then.
The summer is also the time, the only time, when the lifeboat can be checked out and drills practiced. The inspector of lifeboats for the East Coast, Tom Nutman, arranges for Brian Bevan to take his crew to Mablethorpe for a rendezvous with the inshore lifeboat crew stationed there. The two crews are going to practice their separate special roles, but there'll be a surprise in it for Mablethorpe.
Exercise for them, we'll do the butcher's boy over there. See if they can hold up against it. How's that?
Hold up against it?
Yeah.
Don't carry that.
Oh, pulling it outside?
Yeah. We'll put a rocket line across them. Drop the answer, put a rocket line across them. And give them the butcher's boy.
Brian, that's what I said. Why did you bring some rooms back when you're on? We're going to make it faster. You know how to catch the rail.
That's right, son.
That trigger's still good again. That's going to lie well. That? No. Oh, awesome.
I'll be Humber Lifeboat. When you've got it made fast, could we have one willing survivor in the butcher's boy over there?
Gotta keep it like that, right?
Low tide, probably.
Yeah.
To the boat. You'll go back. Let Brian put you in it.
On their way home, when everybody's relaxed, feet up, life jackets off, the inspector includes a surprise for the big boys. He throws himself overboard.
Big boy. Tell her what with this then. Hurry! Down. Man in board!
The big event on shore that year was the arrival of the new crew member and his wife, Dave and Yvonne Cape.
So I've got a best picture. How are you doing, mate?
See you, mate.
Nice to see you. Yeah, yeah. Glad to be here.
What time did you leave off this morning then?
Well, van left at 11:30, I got away at 12. Number 2. Dinky dope for the boys in
They were taking over the house vacated by Mick Story. What did they make of it on that first day? Not that they had much choice, number 2 being the same as all the others, and the house going with the job.
Yeah, very nice. All around the middle. Diners. Making rubbish.
No.
No. It isn't your pantry. You've got a pantry in there. I'm going to make my mother in there. Right, I'm going upstairs. There's nothing upstairs. Oh, lovely.
Well, what was that in this one?
Oh. That is novel. I'm going to put some stuff in there. Yeah.
You got out there?
What out there?
There's toddler section today. To the right after tea.
Yeah.
A big day for the Coast Guard was when the ferry Norland came home from the Falklands.
Norland, this is Humber Coast Guard, over.
Humber,
Norland, this is Humber Coast Guard. I have a short message for you. Can you take it down, over? Norland, this is Humber Coast Guard. With your return to Humberside, we'd like to welcome you with pride. For all the hard times you have had, on our behalf, this makes us sad. But welcome home, and may God speed. Your future voyages will be a pleasure indeed. This is Humber Coast Guard, over.
Humber Coast Guard, this is Norland. Thank you very much indeed.
About 10 seconds, just a minute. I'm going out, I'm walking out to let go. This is bloody hit like this. Oh, there you are. I got the right shit this one. I'm going to make it come up.
For Dave Cape, once the carpet's laid and the furniture's in, it's time to get down to learning the job.
Well, I reckon if I said I wasn't nervous, I'd either be a liar or a fool. But I am more excited than nervous. I am nervous, but I am a bit more excited than nervous. I'm itching to go and let's have a go and see what it's like.
He likes excitement, and
is sensible, and it wouldn't help if I was sort of, oh, crikey, you can't go out, I'm petrified for you. Then he'd, I don't know what the word is, he wouldn't do his job as well as he could, because he'd then be sat while the lifeboat's out wondering, you know, crikey, is she really panicking about me when actually he should be getting on with his job.
Right, I'm about fit, love, I'll go.
Yeah, you've got it hooked through.
Oh, have I? Hang on. No, I ain't. Oh, that's right.
You've got it hooked through it?
No, I haven't. To call me go home. Right, I'm off. I'll see you later. I don't want to be in the way when we go. I'd hope that we get a chance to go and have a practice or something before a real job comes up, so that I'm told what my job is. At the moment, all I know is I'm a crew on a lifeboat, and until I'm told what I've got to do when I get there, I really don't know. So my main worry at the moment, in my own mind, is not to get into somebody else's feet and pop into those matches.
That's the Loudala, which is a two-way one. He can talk to you and you just turn back and talk back at him.
Oh yeah, intercommunicator, yeah. Oh, I see, yeah.
Like that. And service it to the fire, all these lots, come back up.
Oh, shoot down there.
Now this lock will keep the fenders, so half the fenders, and the mooring low forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going to happen for launching that dinghy there?
They've got some rollers now to make like a slipway that goes straight down over the stern.
How will we recover it though? Oh, a bit of wind?
Front, yeah. And then just pull it back up.
Yeah. All ships, all ships. All ships, all ships. This is Humber Coast Guard, Humber Coast Guard. Small craft wind warning. Coastal waters from Cleethorpes to the Wash. Southwesterly winds force 4 to 5. Will gust to force 6 at times today and overnight. I repeat, in coastal waters from Cleethorpes to the Wash.
The last story we're going to tell of the Humber lifeboat is a summer story, one that happens every year and will happen next summer. No ships sinking, no teeth of gale rescue. Although the lifeboat's done these things both before and after this film was made, these and more, and is prepared for anything. What happened on this particular day is a little parable about what some people are really like. The clients of the lifeboat service who do not know the sea, and the rescuers who have to know not just the sea, but more than a bit about human nature. It began with a 999 call that an inflatable dinghy was being swept out to sea.
Grimsby 812014, thank you. Hello, Coast Guard Rescue Headquarters. Yeah. Humberston Cities. Yeah. Small inflatable. 1 occupant. Yeah. Which way is it going? Seaward. From the Hell Sand. Okay, fine. Can you stand by the phone, please, Mr. Atkins? Sorry. Damn, he's hung up. Harry, can you get on to Cleethorpes, please, and just tell them that we've got these 3 9s, Humberston Cities.
Humber, roger. The lifeboat crew manning up now, just about this morning. Roger, you've got this thing under observation of it. Humber, affirmative from this side and from the Silver Sky. Roger. Humber Coast Guard on the lifeboat, slip and moorings and proceed, and could you give us any information you've got, please? Coast Guard, yes, time 1202, your target is a yellow inflatable dinghy, 1 person on board, his approximate position at the moment, quarter to half mile west-northwest of the Hell Sand. Roger, it's a quarter to half mile west-northwest of the Hell Sand. Well, that's affirmative. We have him under observation from here. There's a vessel called the Silver Sky on channel 67 who has us under observation from the anchorage, over. Roger, we go to channel 16. Show radio check. 16. This Humber Coast Guard, Roger. We'll be grateful if you can con the lifeboat onto it. We're getting a little bit difficult to see from here, over.
Right, yeah, will do. I suggest if the Humber lifeboat can be retreat to the hail 10 foot and make a position.
Roger, many thanks. Humber lifeboat, Cleat Oaks Mobile, over.
Cleat Oaks Mobile lifeboat.
Cleat Oaks Mobile. When you get like that, could you confirm the number of persons on board? We have a report from persons on shore here that there might be 2 persons involved, over.
Yeah, okay, over there in 2 minutes. Humber Coast Guard, Cleat Oaks Mobile, just approaching the casualty now.
Humber Coast Guard, Roger. Cleat Oaks Mobile, Roger.
I don't know, there looks as if there's 3 or 4 kids in this one.
Roger, Bev, find out where they come from. We'll get the police to go down and find out where the mother and father are.
That's it, just lift the line out, put that over it. Christ, there's 5 of them. They've just passed a bait aboard that can be only bloody weeks a month old. Slowly.
Just go down the back there.
Get nice and warm in that fabric.
You got a car or anything at place down? Yeah, we've got a parents over there.
Your parents are at place there? Where, on the bay? On Fish's Dock? On Fish's Dock? Yeah. You come from Fish's Dock?
The oldest is 17. The baby is 7 months. They were skidding along before a force 7 wind, careering out into the North Sea with only another few minutes before something went hellishly wrong. Every summer, people drown this way.
Yeah, they've come from the Humberston Fishes, the camp, and the parents are on the camp. Yeah, we'll land them at Grimsby. Send an ambulance down, just whip it to check you, make sure you're out suffering from cold and that. Yeah, they reckon they're alright. I think they're just more frightened than anything else. I should imagine that they'll tell him what they're like.
It's 3 weeks because the lads still digging. It is 3 that. That's 3 weeks. And they're always Friday, but I'll tell you. Where are you from?
Picnic at especially small inflatable craft. I actually feel like picking a knife up and putting it through them and saying, right, you won't do that again in that one. But that doesn't stop them, they'll just go to Woolies and buy another one.
The yacht that might or might not have been on fire and the saving of these 5 children were undertaken in the same season, along with scores of other incidents, by the Humber lifeboat, its coxswains and crew. Each time the boat puts to sea, it costs the RNLI £1,500. Sometimes, as happened here, money couldn't buy the service.
Yeah. Well, our people would like you to go down to the hospital for a check-up. And then they'll get you transport from there back to the signature where you come from. Yeah. Eh? Yeah. It'll be safer. Alright? Yeah. Well, I've got some blankets up top.
Hiya. Hiya. People swim.
Now, is that your dinghy? Have you seen the kids?
No, we've just done it.
They just went to hospital for a check, I think. They're all okay. Do you know whether to fetch your dinghy back for your bonnet for you? Give it a Viking funeral. You seem very bothered.
I've got 3 years since I was swum out myself to save 5 young ones. Yeah, well, it's been a very clever river to be out in with one of these, isn't it?
It's been a bit rough, I might not be coming back at all.
Keep to the edge, like, and if it were going out, but you couldn't, but
You can't do that round here with one of these. Wind gets over it and that's it.
that's it, yeah.
Both over the customer, I think.
Right.
Okay. Well, anyway, I think they're up at the hospital. Have you come in a taxi or you're on car?
No, I've got my own car. Like, we went right down the bottom end.
You know where it is, the hospital?
No.
Oh, they'll direct you then if you go up and see them.
Right,
I think they're only just coming for a check, so they
Yeah.
probably want to lift go.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, Brian.